Final score, Tolka Park, Shelburne 2, St. Patrick's 3. Thank you for your fantastic support.
This is the Extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast, and that is the sound of full time at Tolka Park. Full time in a really enjoyable game. Well, not if you're a Shelburne fan, but it was certainly an enjoyable match if you were a Pats fan, or a Shamrock Rovers fan, or a Derry City fan, because St. Pat's have kind of done Shamrock Rovers and Derry City a solid tonight. Shelburne's still on top of the table on 54 points, Derry City second on 50 points, but they have a game in hand. Shamrock Rovers third on 49 points, Galway United fourth on 49 points, St. Pat's fifth on 47 points, Sligo Rovers sixth on 47 points, and Waterford, who now look out of the running for the European spots, seventh on 43 points. Barry Murphy, formerly of Bows, Shamrock Rovers and St. Pat's, how are you?
Yeah, great, Oisin. What a game. I'm just sitting here at home watching it on my own and absolutely buzzing. And just as a League of Ireland fan, that's just an incredible game to get to see. You know, just how many of these games that are on live TV turn out to be dull games, and you're hoping this one's just going to have something about it, because you're trying to draw in crowds. And at this time of the year, the games are usually done enough tense between these two type of teams, going to try and get something out of this game tonight. Shells obviously have a title on the line. Pats potentially have a title on the line, and definitely Europe on the cards. But just what an incredible game. You know, potentially we have like a league winning momentum swing there, and one that's basically gone away in the blink of an eye, from 2-0 down to pull it back to 2-2 with two incredible goals. Like that momentum swing for Shells was like, that's a league title winning momentum swing, and then to have it snatched out at the last minute is just incredible. And that's going to be so deflating for Damien Duff.
Okay, take what was riding on the game out of it for a second and just judge the game on its own merits and the game itself. Talk me through it.
It had such quality in it. It had a bit of everything. You know, you look at the first goal, and Pats have done this so well of late. And I was doing the commentary for the game the other day, and that's the Arsenal goal. The corner is the Arsenal goal. It's an exact replica of that. And what they've done is got these simple things right. They've got the setup for corners right. They've got the setup for free kicks right. And that ball in for the free kick from Kavanagh into Joe Redmond was just simply quality. All it needed was a flick on. So that's just kicked the whole thing off, started the whole thing rolling. And the second goal, another bit of quality. And you think it's dead and buried. You just don't see Shells coming back into this. They haven't scored more than 2 goals in any game this year. And to think they were going to try and get back into this, it just looked like it was never going to happen. But for Tulloch to come on and score that goal is just absolutely incredible. Like, he's not bent it into the top corner. He's smashed it in. Like, he's kind of that Ronaldo kick into the top corner. He's not bent it around Joseph Lang. Just a stunning finish. And then for Matty Smith to go and do that, and the flick down from Sean Boyd was just really good into Matty Smith's pass. Flicks it back on his right foot onto his left, and bends it past Joseph Lang into that top corner. And you can only see one winner from that point of view. And then, listen, I think the referees got it really wrong in that bottom corner. There's a foul on John Martin for Shells. He's given the free kick the other way, and Pats go up, and just really naive from Shells to leave himself so open. I think Damon's probably going to rue that. He's going to think, maybe, listen, we should have shut up shop and taken the point. And
yeah, because the point was actually a decent result for Shells. Pats needed to win a hell of a lot more than Shells did.
Yeah, and it was just not like them as well. Not like Paddy Barrett to give up that second goal to Brandon Kavanagh as well. Like, it's just clear lines there. They were just trying to be a bit too smart. And Paddy has that in the locker. He's probably the best player on the night. The only one that was making any sort of chances was your centre half. That's where Shells have really lacked all year. But when you've got yourself back in that situation, shut up shop the way Shells have done in the first 2 quarters of this season. Shut up shop, take your point, and you go 5 points clear. But they just didn't do that, and Pats just punished them for it.
Is it easy to do that when you have energy? Is it hard to do that when you're tired? And actually, I'm kind of trying to lead you with my question there. So I'll just ask the way I should have, which is, are Shells tired? And is this why? And is that why they're making these kind of mistakes? Is that why Barrett doesn't just bash the ball away? Is that why they, even though they should have had a free kick awarded to them, allow Pats to score that third goal? Is that why, for the bulk of the game, before they got that first goal, before Tulloch re-energized them, they just look flat-footed? Are they tired? Is it that simple?
Yeah, there's a bit of that, and there's a bit of adrenaline as well. You need a leader just stepping in there, going, calm down here for 5 minutes, hit the ground, and just reassess the
Do they not
situation.
have that leader?
I they do Coyle has been brilliant this year.
Mm.
Paddy Barrett's been through it. Gallant's been through league winning things. It's just when you get back to 2-2 and that momentum is suddenly swung in your favor, and you think if we go and win this tonight, I think they go and win the league. If they go and win that tonight, I don't see any way back from for Derry for that. And then it's just that adrenaline rush. You're thinking, let's just push for this, and you leave the back door open, and that Pats have too much quality to let a team of that kind of stature go and get back into the game, give them a chance like that to get back into the game.
And it was a hurling manager once said this to me, Derek McGrath, who brought Waterford to an All Ireland final. He said, you can set up to defend a lot of things, he said, but you cannot defend pace. And ultimately, pace was again the difference for Pats tonight.
Yeah. They have that in abundance on both wings, and then you're bringing Mason Mealy off the bench as well. He was just quality. He could have scored himself, but that bends it off the post, and then Kazim gets on the end of it. And after the scuffle, I'd say James was thinking to himself, where is my luck? I've just had a scuffle with him on the sideline before he comes on, and it just falls to him, and he puts it in the back of the net. But yes, that's just they've got to take a bit of heart from this as well, though, Shells, that they can go and get themselves back into games, but the games are running out, and that's one win in eight or one win in nine at the moment. That's
Yeah.
just incredibly bad form.
And if you're Damien Duff after the game, is that what you're saying to your players? Well, actually, we got ourselves into it. We were very unlucky. That goal shouldn't have, well, it's not that it shouldn't have stood, but there should have been a foul in the lead in. Actually, lads, you did most things right here, and that's what you need to concentrate on. Is that what you try and do if you're Damien Duff and Joey O'Brien at the moment?
It's the way he's going to phrase it. It's the way he has to phrase it.
Yeah.
You listen to his interviews all week about like watching Lonely Fools and Horses and trying to change momentum of things like that. And you think, Jesus, this has worked. The momentum has physically changed in this game. They got it back to 2-2, and that's just a sucker punch. I don't know how he's going to reframe that and try and get them back up for a massive game against Shamrock Rovers. But listen, it's still in their hands. They go and win their games. They win the league. It's as simple as that. You just got to go and do your business, and Shamrock Rovers, although they're back in it now, they've got to go and play Applewell on Thursday, another
Yeah.
massive game. And they're going to put their best foot forward in that game as well. So you'd think a game for 3 days later isn't going to be top priority for them. So it's a big chance for Shels to go and do something in Tala.
It's funny that he mentioned watching Only Fools and Horses, Damien Duff, because one of the most famous episodes is called To Hull and Back, which literally describes Shells in the last year or two. I better explain the joke for younger listeners. The club were taken over by the people who owned Hull and then effectively given back. And of course, Will Jarvis went back to Hull, didn't he? And he's playing in the championship, which again will tell you how big a loss he is. I appreciate this is a very unoriginal comment I'm about to make, but Jarvis and Malloy, you're seeing how big a loss they are now, aren't you? 1 in 9, I think it is, and it's no coincidence that slump has happened since they left.
Yeah, you just can't get past that. At both ends of it, they weren't conceding the goals. Ledovic just isn't the player that Malloy is. No disrespect to him, but he's just not the same. And then at the other end, just no creativity at all. You just see what way they have to go about things. Aidan O'Brien is the same as Sean Boyd. Sean Boyd comes on, just nods things down
Yeah.
and hopes to get it on the endings that are whipped in as well. It's just there's no guile or finesse about it up
Like
front.
even the goals tonight, and they were worldies, don't get me wrong, but they weren't great moves. They were well taken. They were brilliant goals, but they weren't what you call great moves.
No
Like you
individual.
couldn't imagine them replicating those constantly.
No, that's not it. That's not patterns of play. That's a ball up from the goalkeeper up to your centre forward who does brilliantly to hold off Joe Redmond and knock it down for Maddie Smith, and it's just an incredible finish to get them back in the game. But as you said, you can't replicate that game after game. Whereas Pats, you look at the Pats goals, like that can be replicated the way they play, and you saw it in Tala as well on Friday night. But yeah, it's just going to be so disheartening. And like, I don't know what way they can go and change things now because that's the way they're set up. They're the players they have at the moment, and they're going to be missing Maddie Smith now as well on Sunday.
That's true. I will say this about Shelburne. It is likely that they'll finish at the very least in the top three, which if you told Shells fans at the start of the season, I think they would have said, you know what, we'll take that. That's a good season.
Yeah, at the start of the season, you wouldn't take that now. As a
Yeah.
fan, as a player, as staff, these chances don't come around often. And when you look back at it and you go game by game where you drop points, like you'd be sick. And
Yeah.
as I said, Rovers going to be as bad next year. Pats are going to be phenomenal next year. I think you look at Derry, they've got money, they've got a good manager, they've got good players. They're going to be good next year. Everybody's
Are
going
Shels not going to
to.
be good next year as well, though? I mean, Damien Duff, if you look at the way the form has gone under him, they've improved every year. So why can't they be saying to themselves, well, you know what? Largely, this has been a decent season. We can get better again next season.
No, they can. They can. It's going to be about recruitment, and I still don't think they're playing the type of football that Damon ultimately wants to play. I think
Yeah.
he's playing with the players he has, and the ones he lost, he's had to replace with versatile players that can play a couple of
Yeah.
positions. I still don't think he has that starting 11 that he wants to play and the football he wants to play, but he's doing what he can at the moment, and it's worked. They've progressed every year, and they will be thereabouts next year again with new improvements brought in.
Cork City will be there as well, of course. Barry, don't forget about them. This is turning into a bit of a consoling podcast for Shell supporters. I do want to talk about St. Pat's because that was quite the win. And since Stephen Kenny has come in, and I really don't mean to diss John Daly because obviously the man has qualities as a manager, but they've just kind of turned into a different team. Like St. Pat's in the first half of the season were Bruce Banner, in the second half of the season they're the Hulk.
It's everything you wanted out of a Stephen Kenny Ireland team. That's what we all hoped would come. But the difference there is that you can't put an arm around the shoulder through a text message or through a phone call, with these players coming for 2 or 3 days into these Ireland camps. He has these players day in, day out. He sees their strengths, sees their weaknesses, knows about their family, knows what makes him tick, and he's just got them to a different level. Like he's making younger players better. He's making older players better. Look at Chris Forrester. He's found a new position. He's thriving in. Lennon's come on to a new level, and just Elba's Eddie and Jake Mulroney, just sheer quality going down those wings, and it's terrifying.
Regards Jamie Lennon, he was man of the match tonight as we speak. And I think it's been proven in this league, you need a Chris Shields type in your team if you're going to do anything. And he's very much kind of hitting those Chris Shields at his peak type levels now, isn't he?
Yeah, Jamie's had that about him though. He just needed to find that position because he's a skillful player as well. And he played a little bit further forward when I was there, and when I first started there, he was coming through as a young lad and he was playing a little bit further forward. But he's found that mold now, that Makaleli role, shield in the back four, and he just does it so well. But he's got that bit of quality when he gets on the ball as well. He can spray a pass, but he's a real leader in there now. He's a quiet lad, but he's coming out of his shell, and you can just see it now. The others are taking to him, and he's got that bit of experience. He's got a couple of cup wins under his belt as well, so he's got know-how. So people are listening to him.
Yeah, he's just that dogged, determined player, isn't he? And Alan Cawley made a point at half time that everyone else on that field for Pats was attack minded. He was the only one who was defensive. But he is now, sorry, I'm adding to the point. I'll put a full stop at the end of Alan's point about him being the only one being defensive. My add to that is that's kind of what makes him great, isn't it?
Yeah, but like you're giving him such a job to do there because like Chris Forrester isn't naturally that defensively minded, and he's playing as one of those two. So Jamie's got to get onto his case as well to tuck him in sometimes. Like you saw against Rovers the other night. At one point, Chris Forrester was chasing down Leon Poles. You've got to kind of reel him in as well.
Yeah.
So that's Jamie's got to learn that role as well. But he's doing it. But he's got the energy and the wherewithal to know where he should be on the pitch to cover those little spaces.
Who's going to win this league? Is it going to be St. Pat's? Barry, I said I wouldn't say this publicly because we were having a chat before we started recording, and I put it to you that St. Pat's can get a possible 12 points. At the moment, they're on 47 points with 4 games to play. Shells are on 54 with 4 to play. Derry on 50 with 5 to play. And Shamrock Rovers on 49 with 4 to play. But the way those 3 teams are playing, you would say that there's no guarantee that they'll win all their 4 games or even close to it. So maybe St. Pat's can still win this league.
It's any one of 5 can win it at this stage. You wouldn't rule Galway out either. It's incredible. Like you just look at Rovers run of games after Sunday. If Rovers can go and turn over Shells on Sunday, they've got Drogheda, Dundalk, and Waterford at home on the last day, and they're capable of going and doing that. The only stipulation is that they have Europe around those games, and are the eyes be focused on that, and the legs going to be weary, but. You just look if you're a Derry player at the moment, you're sitting at home going, Jesus, like they pull it back to 2-2, momentum is totally gone with them, and then suddenly that's a massive blow to them and a massive lift to Derry,
Yeah.
especially with them going up to the Brandywell. And you just feel if Derry were in striking distance going into that last game of the season up in the Brandywell, we saw what happened in the cup game up there. They're going to really root or hope that that game goes to the last game of the season because I think they'll fancy themselves.
What about Galway? They're on 49 points. If they finish in the top 3 or even the top 4, that's a fantastic season. And John Caulfield should be in the conversation for manager of the year.
Yeah, you could have 5 or 6 managers in the conversation. Just you really look at it, only one or two maybe have been below par, and there's been kind of stipulations around that as well. You look at John Russell's job he's doing at Sligo as well, and I kind of mentioned it somewhere else as well that it's like Impractical Jokers at Sligo at the moment. The lads behind the scenes like, we'll take away their goalkeeper, take away your best centre half, we'll take away your best
Yeah.
centre forward, and you've got to go and deal with that. And he's done that brilliantly as well. But John Caulfield has done such a good job at Galway, and people were kind of saying at the start of the season, oh, it's all long ball stuff, it's all throwing stuff, but it's not at all. They play some really good football around it as well, and they're in with a great show coming into this last stretch.
They certainly are. That wasn't you talking about the garlic cheese and chips, was it? That wasn't you who irritated John Russell, was it?
No.
No?
I said on the air that I shouldn't have said, but that wasn't one of them.
Okay, that's fair enough. When I saw the comments, I started flicking through the comments underneath the story, and I was like, oh, someone's going to bring up the penalty against St. Pat's here and have a go at me. And no one has. I was surprised because a few Sligo Rovers fans said I called it incorrectly. I didn't. Turner was fouled and it was a penalty. Whatever about the first one. But I said, oh, someone's going to bring me up, because sometimes I say, I wander off topic. Now, I never do it during play, and I hope it doesn't take away from the game. And I don't think I say, really stupid things. And I make a real effort to make sure I know the players and know a bit about the opposition players as well as the Pats players. No, and my name didn't pop. So I was delighted with that. If you're not, it's a bit like being a referee as a commentator. If you're not mentioned, that's actually a very good thing.
I don't think it can ever be said you don't know your stuff, Oisin. That's definitely not.
It can, Barry, it can, and it has been said. But thank you very much.
Yeah.
Just before I let you go, it's a big weekend coming up. Look, you haven't had the chance really to concentrate on or to look ahead maybe too much to these games, but Wexford going to Drogheda and Derry going to Bowes in the Sports Direct FAI Cup semi-finals. How do you see these games going, or what can we expect?
Yeah, 2 cracking games. Yeah, you look at the results. I think Derry have beaten them twice down there. I've beaten them twice this year, beaten them once down there, and Bows have got the win in the other game. So it's really tight, 2-1, and both came either way. So listen, it's going to be a really, really tough game, and you just feel that Bows have that kind of experience now of cup finals the last couple of years, and Derry do too. They won one in 2023, 2022, whatever it was, but they have that experience of getting to cup finals. And for Derry, they need to get something going, because if they don't go and win the league this year, like they got bailed out by winning the cup the last time, it kind of masked over the league performances. But for Bows, they've got to have something to show for this season, because it's been really dismal. And you look at the other semi-final, you just feel that Drogheda have got too much. Those 2 boys up front, James Taylor and Franz Piero, they're just a handful for anyone. I think they'll be just too much on the day for Wexford, but you just never know in a one-off game.
Okay, Barry, looking forward to hearing you on various other outlets and publications, including Off the Ball, possibly Second Captains again, and RTE. Of course, it's great to hear someone like yourself popping up in all of these places, because you do put the work in, you do know your stuff, and you were a hell of a good player as well when you played. Thank you very much for joining us on the Extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast.
Cheers, Oisin. Take care.
Well, that's all from Barry Murphy, but let's run through the game again, the highs and lows of it in Tolka Park, because it was a belter of a match. Extratime.com's Ronan MacNamara was there, and after the game, he sent us this voice note.
Thanks, Oisin, and yeah, Shelburne 2, St. Patrick's Athletic 3. Up until now, you have to say the title race has been jittery, it's been nervy, and it's been pretty uneventful. But tonight was the first night we really got a bit of drama. Just an unbelievable second half here at Tolka Park. First half, Shels went in a goal down. Joe Redmond glanced home Brandon Kavanagh's free kick into the bottom corner, and you'd have to say that was the difference between the two teams in the first half. Shels just making wrong decisions in both boxes, and Pats were clinical. And it looked like it was game over when, again, poor defensive clearance from Paddy Barrett went straight to El Bouzetti, and he just squared it for Brandon Kavanagh to tap it in just after the hour mark. And at that stage, the life seemed to have been sucked out of the place. You're thinking Shelburne's title hopes are hanging by a thread here. And then all of a sudden, out of nothing, Rayan Tulloch, little 1-2 with John Martin on the left, cuts back inside, edge of the box, curls one into the top corner, and it just sets up a grand slam finish with 15 minutes to go. And about 3 minutes later then, Matty Smith gets the ball, a knockdown from Sean Boyd. He cuts in on his left foot and curls an absolute stunner into the top corner, and the place went berserk. It was pandemonium. The roof lifted off. It all spilled over onto the touchline then as well, with Damien Duff and Brian Gartland getting involved in a bit of a scuffle. But what's important is who was sort of in the middle of that scuffle, just trying to keep out of the way and not get involved, was little Al Amin Kazim. Came on as a substitute in the 87th minute for Kavanagh, and a minute later, his first touch of the game, he slammed home the winner with 2 minutes to go. Mason Melia, a beautiful shot and turn, just hit the post, and Kazim was Johnny on the spot to turn it home. Again, that was the difference on the night between the two sides, just who had the better of it in both boxes, and it was definitely St. Pat's. And yeah, Shels now won winning 9 league games for the second time this season. It's been a bizarre Premier Division this year, and Shels' stint at the top of the Premier Division looks to be on life support, and with statistics like that, it is quite unbelievable. For St. Pat's, it's 5 wins in a row now in the league under Stephen Kenny, 2 points behind Shamrock Rovers in third place, who will be looking over their shoulder as well as looking up at Shels. For Pats, 7 points behind Shelburne with 4 games to go. An unlikely league title is probably out of reach, but heading into next season, if you're a St. Patrick's Athletic fan, you must be absolutely buzzing with what Kenny has produced since he's come in, and you must be really excited with what the future could hold. For Shelburne, they head to Tallaght Stadium on Sunday, and of course they have that daunting task of going up to Derry on the final night of the league season, and it looks increasingly likely that they're going to need to go up there and get a result if they're to win their first league title since 2006. Full time here at Tolka Park. It's finished Shelburne 2, St. Patrick's Athletic 3.
A big thank you to Extratime.com's Ronan MacNamara reporting from Tolka Park, where St. Pat's beat Shelburne by 3-2. Now, we have already gone through the league table. Let's just give you a reminder before we head off. Shelburne are on top on 54 points, but they have 4 games remaining. Derry second on 50 points. They have 5 games remaining. Shamrock Rovers third on 49 points. They've got 4 games left, as do Galway United, who are also on 49 points. They could still win this league. It's not like John Caulfield hasn't won a league before. St. Pat's fifth on 47 points. They've got 4 games left, as do Sligo Rovers, who are also on 47 points. Waterford, 7th on 43 points. By the way, Sligo Rovers host St. Pat's on the last day of the season. Bohemians 8th on 36 points. Drogheda United 2nd from bottom on 32 points. And for Dundalk, unfortunately, and I don't take any pleasure in saying this, it looks done and dusted for this season, as in they'll be relegated. For the club themselves, knowing the fans like I do, and I spent an awful lot of time in Dundalk, they won't let it die. And they'll keep it going. And they might be in the first division for a while, but they'll survive and they'll thrive again. And while we're talking about Dundalk, I want to send my condolences and heartfelt wishes to the family and friends of Maxi. Just an absolutely dedicated lover of Dundalk FC and the town itself. And I know that his passing is a tough one for Dundalk fans, because he was always there, and there was always positivity and energy from Maxi about the club, and he will be missed. I didn't know him personally myself, but there's just been such a reaction to his passing, and that tells you an awful lot about what he meant to the people around Dundalk and Dundalk FC. That's it for myself, Oisin Langan. As always, you can get in contact with me via @Oisin Langan. You can check out Extra Time on extratime.com, and their X handle is @Extratime News. There's also a WhatsApp number that you can send voice notes and messages to, and you can find out what that number is by going to extratime.com. Thanks for listening to this special Extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast. We'll be back soon. Take care. Bye bye.